Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into something crucial, something that's legally required, and honestly, just core to designing things well online: digital accessibility.
Yeah, it's about making sure those digital doors are actually open for everyone, especially important when we're talking about education, right? Getting materials out there.
Exactly. And we want this to be a bit of a shortcut for you, the listener, to get up to speed on what you absolutely need to know about compliance.
Right. So our goal today, unpack the legal side, those looming deadlines, and believe me, the clock is ticking loud now, and the specific rules you need to follow. We're talking WCAG, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines.
Okay, so let's start with the foundation. If you're making content, say, for a university or any educational setting, what are the big laws underpinning all this?
Well, there are two main federal pillars. First, you've got the big one, the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA from 1990.
Right, the ADA. That basically prohibits discrimination based on disability, full stop.
Exactly. And if you're doing anything online, that definitely applies to your digital space, too.
Okay, and the second one?
That's Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. This one's key because it ties accessibility to federal funding.
So if your institution gets federal money?
You must provide equal access. And it's worth noting, Section 508, which is part of that same Rehabilitation Act, was updated back in, January 2018.
And that update specifically pointed to WCAG 2.0 as the technical standard, right?
Precisely. It made WCAG the official benchmark for compliance under 508. So the expectation for equal access has clear technical guidelines attached now.
Gotcha. So the laws are there.
Yeah.
But what really kicked things into high gear recently for, say, universities?
For many, the big catalyst was something called a Voluntary Resolution Agreement, or VRA.
Oh, VRA.
Yeah, basically an agreement signed with the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights. The key one we're tracking was signed May 15th, 2018.
And that agreement, I assume, came with some deadlines.
Oh, absolutely. It put real teeth into making online content and websites accessible and set up a timeline.
Okay, so what were those dates? We've passed them already.
We have. The first one was May 1st, 2019. By then, organizations needed a plan for all new online content and functionality to be, quote, fully accessible.
A plan. Okay, what came next?
Then May 3rd, 2021, that was a big one, websites needed to offer equal opportunity for people to participate.
Or, I remember there was an alternative.
Yes, or provide an equally effective alternative way to access the programs or information. It allowed for some flexibility if full compliance wasn't quite there yet.
Right, the alternate access loophole.
But that's closing, isn't it? There's a huge deadline coming up.
It really is. This is the date everyone needs, circled, bolded, underlined, April 24th, 2026.
Okay, April 24th, 2026. What has to happen by then?
By that date, all web content and, importantly, mobile apps too, must meet the WCAG standard. Specifically, version 2.1, level AA. Level AA, let's pause there. Like you said, what does AA mean in practical terms?
Good question. WCAG has 3 levels: A, AA, and AAA. Level A is the minimum. Level AAA is the highest, often very difficult to achieve for all content.
So AA is the middle ground.
Exactly. Level AA is the standard typically required legally, like for government and education. It's considered robust, achievable, and provides strong accessibility. That's the target. Hitting AA is the requirement.
2026 feels soon when you think about just how much digital content gets created every single day.
It's incredibly soon in institutional time, yeah.
So who's actually on the hook for making sure this happens? Is it IT? Is it someone else?
Well, the sources we looked at are clear. It's a shared responsibility. Disability services, your equity offices, IT administrators, they're all involved in the strategy and support.
Who creates the stuff?
Right. But if you're faculty, if you're a lecturer, an instructional designer, you're the one making the documents, the presentations, the course materials.
So the accessibility of that specific piece of content starts with the creator.
It really does. The compliance chain begins there. So you, as the creator, absolutely must understand these rules.
No escaping it. Okay, then let's dive into those rules. WCAG and the POUR principles. You mentioned POUR.
Yes, POUR. It's the acronym for the 4 core principles that WCAG is built on. It's developed by the W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium. They set the standards for the web.
And POUR makes it easier to grasp.
Totally. It makes this complex set of guidelines much more manageable. If you can ensure your content meets these 4 principles, you're basically hitting the mark. POUR stands for perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust.
Okay, let's break those down. First up, P for perceivable. What does that mean?
Perceivable is all about the senses. Can users actually take in the information you're presenting, even if they have sensory limitations like vision or hearing impairment?
So making sure it's not just visual or just auditory.
Exactly. The classic example here is alt text, alternative text for images.
Right, the little description you add to an image file.
Yep. If you have a chart, a photo, any graphic, you must provide a text description that conveys the same essential information. Screen readers rely on that alt text to read it aloud or output it in Braille.
Okay, so images need alt text. What about videos or podcasts like this?
For time-based media, you need alternatives too. Video needs accurate, synchronized captions.
Closed captions.
Right. And for audio-only content, like, say, a lecture recording or a podcast, you need a full transcript available.
Makes sense. Anything else under perceivable?
A big one is, don't rely only on color or shape or sound or location to convey information. You need another way, usually text, to present that same info. Think about color blindness, for instance.
Good point. Okay, that's P. Next is O for operable. What's that about?
Operable means, can users actually use the interface? Can they navigate? Can they interact with buttons, forms, controls?
Regardless of how they're accessing it.
Exactly. The absolute king here is keyboard accessibility.
Meaning everything has to work with just a keyboard. No mouse required.
Everything, all functions, all links, all form fields, you must be able to get to them and use them using the tab key, arrow keys, enter key, etc.
And that little box that highlights where you are when you tab around.
The focus indicator, yes, that has to be clearly visible at all times. Users need to know where they are on the page.
Okay, keyboard access is critical. Now, what about things like drag and drop exercises? Those seem very mouse dependent. Are they just out?
That's a really common question, and the answer is, if drag and drop is the only way to do something, then yes, that fails the operable principle.
So you need another way.
You absolutely must provide a keyboard-based alternative that achieves the same result. Maybe using arrow keys to move items or selecting from drop-down lists. The functionality has to be there for keyboard users.
Got it. What else underoperable?
Giving users enough time is important. If there's a time limit on something like a quiz,
Yeah.
there needs to be a way for the user to turn off, adjust, or extend that time limit.
Right.
The exception is if it's, a real-time event like an auction where the time is essential.
Okay. And navigation aids,
Yeah.
like skipping repetitive menus.
Yes. Skip links. Providing a link at the top of the page, often hidden until you tab to it, that lets users jump straight to the main content. Huge time saver, especially for screen reader users. Also, avoiding content that flashes rapidly, it can trigger seizures. Nothing flashing more than 3 times per second.
Right. Important safety consideration.
Yeah.
Okay, that covers O. Next is U for understandable.
Understandable. Pretty straightforward. Can users understand the information being presented? And can they understand how to operate the interface?
So this covers language and clarity.
Exactly. Readability is key. Simple things like making sure the language of the page or document is defined in the code, like specifying HTML in for English.
Why does that matter?
Because assistive technologies, like screen readers, need to know which language rules and pronunciation to use. It also helps with things like defining abbreviations.
So if you use an acronym like VRA,
You should ideally define it the first time or use the proper HTML tag, like a BRI, so the screen reader can announce the full term if needed, rather than trying to pronounce the letters.
that makes sense. What about predictability?
Predictability is crucial for understandable. When a user interacts with something, clicks a button, focuses on a form field, it shouldn't cause a major unexpected change on the page.
Like suddenly opening a new window without warning.
Exactly. Or submitting a form automatically just because you selected an option. Users need to be in control and understand what will happen before it happens.
And for forms themselves, making those understandable.
Clear instructions, definitely. And proper labeling. Every input field needs a clear, programmatically linked label tag so users know what information goes where. And if there's an error, like you forgot a required field, the error needs to be clearly identified and described.
Okay, labels and error messages. Got it. That brings us to the last one. R for robust. This sounds a bit more technical.
It is, a little. Robust means the content needs to be, robust enough to be interpreted reliably by a wide variety of user agents.
User agents, you mean browsers?
Browsers, yes, but also assistive technologies like screen readers, magnifiers, voice control software, maybe future technologies we haven't even seen yet.
So it's about future-proofing, kind of.
Kind of, yeah. It's about making sure your content uses standard conventions. For web content, this means using valid HTML, making sure interactive components have their names, roles, and states properly defined in the code so assistive tech can understand what they are and how they work.
Avoiding errors in the code that might trip up assistive tech.
Exactly. Clean, standard code maximizes compatibility across different devices and software now and down the road. It ensures the accessibility features you build in actually work reliably.
POUR. Perceivable, operable, understandable, robust.
That's a really helpful framework.
It really is. If you keep those four in mind as you create, you're on the right track. Okay, so we know the principles now. Let's talk scope again. That VRA language, new content and functionality. What does that actually cover in practice?
It's broad, really broad. The sources we reviewed break it down into 4 main buckets that content creators need to worry about.
4 buckets. Okay, what's bucket number 1?
Instructional materials. This is basically everything you use for teaching or learning that's delivered electronically.
So syllabi.
Syllabi, required readings, optional readings, PowerPoint slides you post online, handouts, links to external resources. If it's part of the learning experience and it's electronic, it needs to be accessible.
Wow, okay, that's huge. Bucket 2.
Documents. This covers pretty much any electronic document your institution produces, maintains, or puts out there.
Like what kind of documents?
Think Word docs, PDFs, spreadsheets, official publications, reports. If it's an electronic file being distributed, it falls under this.
Got it. So internal memos, public-facing reports, everything. Number 3.
Electronic media. This is all your multimedia. Videos, audio recordings, anything used for instruction, sure, but also for communication, marketing, anything official.
And the rules here are captions and...
Captions and audio description for video. That's crucial.
Remind us what audio description is again.
Audio description, or AD, is an extra audio track that verbally describes the key visual elements happening on screen, actions, characters, scene changes things someone who can't see the video would otherwise miss.
Okay, captions and AD for video and transcripts for audio. Got it. The last bucket. Number 4.
Web. This covers websites, obviously, but also any web-based software or platforms your institution uses.
Even things hosted by third parties, like our learning management system, maybe.
Yes. Even remotely hosted sites or software used for official business. They all need to meet the accessibility standards. And importantly, websites must clearly state how someone can get help if they do encounter an accessibility barrier, a point of contact.
That makes sense. Provide a way to report problems. Okay, those 4 buckets cover a lot of ground.
They really do. Instructional materials, documents, media, and web.
Now, there was a really interesting point in the source materials about buying stuff, about procurement.
Ah, yes. That's absolutely critical and sometimes overlooked.
What's the rule there?
Basically, you can't just buy your way out of accessibility problems. If you purchase any product or service, software, a platform, content creation tools, anything that creates, maintains, or delivers online content for you.
Yeah.
That procurement contract must include language requiring the vendor to adhere to the same federal accessibility requirements, like WCAG 2.1 AA.
So if the vendor's product isn't accessible, using it puts your institution out of compliance.
Exactly. You inherit their compliance status, essentially. So vetting vendors for accessibility becomes a really big deal. It pushes the responsibility onto the vendors, too.
That closes a major loophole. Okay, so knowing the POUR principles and the scope, what are the practical things creators need to do when making stuff?
It boils down to integrating accessible practices into your normal workflow, using the tools correctly.
We touched on some specifics, but let's recap the big ones for, say, creating a document or presentation.
Okay. Number 1, structure. Use the built-in heading styles in your software. Heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and so on.
Don't just make text bigger and bolder to look like a heading.
Right. Using the actual heading styles creates a navigable outline that screen readers can use. Same for lists. Use the bulleted or numbered list function. Don't just type dashes or asterisks.
Why not?
Because assistive tech won't recognize manually created lists as lists. They just see them as lines of text. Using the built-in tool adds the proper structure.
Okay, headings and lists for structure. What else?
Color contrast. Make sure there's enough contrast between your text color and your background color. There are tools online to check this easily. And remember, don't use color alone to convey meaning.
Got it. High contrast. Use text cues. And for images and media.
Alt text for every meaningful image. Transcripts for standalone audio. Captions and audio description for video. These are non-negotiable.
Even if it's like a YouTube video you're linking to.
Ideally, yes. If the third-party content isn't accessible, the responsibility falls back on you to either make it accessible, like adding your own captions if possible, or provide an equally effective alternative way for students to get that same information.
That can be challenging. Are there tools to help with all this? Making documents accessible sounds like extra work.
It can be at first, but tools definitely help streamline it. Most institutions provide guidance. Our sources mentioned instructions are readily available for the common software suites.
Like Microsoft Office.
Yeah, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. They all have built-in accessibility checkers and features now. Same for Adobe Acrobat for PDFs, Adobe InDesign, and the Google Workspace tools.
Google Docs, Sheets, Slides.
Exactly. And for Google users specifically, the sources mentioned a tool called Grackle.
Grackle, what's that?
It's a plugin, an add-on for Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides designed specifically to help you check for and fix accessibility issues and then export accessible PDFs right from Google.
Oh, that sounds useful for people heavily using Google Workspace.
Yeah, tools like that and the built-in checkers in Microsoft Office can really help make this part of the routine, not some huge extra step at the end.
So it's about building accessibility in from the start, using the tools you already have, basically.
That's the goal. Make it standard practice.
Okay, let's try to synthesize this. We've covered a lot. What's the absolute key takeaway for someone listening right now, maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed?
I think the main thing is this isn't optional, and it's not just about posting files online anymore.
Right. It's about how that content is structured and presented.
Exactly. It needs to be systematically built according to that WCAG 2.1 level AA standard and that April 24, 2026 deadline. It's real, it's legally binding because of the ADA and Section 504.
And it's everyone's job who touches digital content.
It truly is a shared responsibility, but it originates with the creator.
Okay. So looking ahead, you mentioned the R in POUR, robustness, is about compatibility with future technologies.
Yeah, and that gets me thinking. That principle says content must be interpretable by a wide variety of user agents, including assistive tech. We're doing our best to meet the standards today, using today's understanding of assistive tech.
But technology changes fast.
Incredibly fast.
Yeah.
New ways of interacting with information, new kinds of assistive devices. They're always emerging, things we probably can't even conceive of right now.
So the provocative thought is,
Are the standards we're working so hard to meet today truly robust enough for the assistive technologies of tomorrow? What does compliance even look like when the fundamental ways people perceive and operate digital content might shift entirely? How do we design now for future technologies we can't predict?
that's the deep question. Designing for the unknown future of access.
It's the ultimate challenge, isn't it? Making something truly, lastingly robust.